Okay, so there's a bunch of stuff I want to talk about. And so I'm just jumping right in. I'm so tired too. It is one of those things where I was like wide awake at 3:30, and there's so much stuff filling my head, so many conversations, and I was really noticing a lot of really heavy energy too. That was just like just weird stuff. Like so then so it was kind of like I felt like I was like arguing, like it's like feels like you're battling the dark or something. And so I felt like so awake, and I was like, well, what am I gonna do? I was like, well, you could get up and record. And it's like, oh my gosh, I can't get up and just start making a bunch of noise. Just go back to sleep. And so I had all these things on my mind I wanted to talk about, and mine was going and going, and I fell back asleep. And then I always, after I fall back asleep in the morning, woke up, and then I feel totally out of it. I felt like so awake at 3:30. Now I just feel really out of it. But also, though, at 3:30, when I was sitting there, I was like, well, you could get up and record. And all of a sudden, my eyes felt really tired. And I was like, get up and start doing that and talking and thinking. And so, anyways, but there is like my mind has been filling up and filling up. And so it's going to be all over the place, I'm sure. For one thing, I want to say, I'm sad for me, 23. And this is what I'm talking about, though. Everybody has just got to keep in mind there's going to continue to be a loss. A really, significant loss as this is going on. And, you can't just put it out of your mind and you'd be like, well, I'm in a game, and just or distract yourself or whatever. It's happening for the process. So you got to go through the process. Everything that comes up, feel it, go through the pain, feel everything that happens, sit with how you feel every day. Because a lot of people get really cut off from their emotions. My stomach's growling a lot, by the way. A lot of people get really cut off from their emotions. And so, they're comfortable with it. They don't even know. And then when you do get hit with them, it's like a flood where they're just totally out of control. So when you're going through something heavy, unless you're really good at processing and really staying on top of it and stuff, just make sure you take time aside for you to go in and check in with yourself, to talk to yourself, ask yourself how you're feeling, how are you handling it and stuff. And then cry, laugh, talk to the person. I think a lot of people are passing in order to show people this bridge, so they're not really very far, and the veil is very thin, and so they're right there. So spend time talking to them and interacting with them, and they'll come in. And another thing too that was weighing heavy on me, and I don't know if this is anything about your situation, but it was really weighing heavy on me that I needed to say, is this is one thing that is really important for people to understand too. When there's gonna be a lot of people who are gonna overdose, that is like the introduction for the purpose, so we could see the collapse of society. And so it's going to be a huge takedown. It's a huge problem. We've seen it, what's leading up to it, the trauma and the drama, and we got zombies everywhere, and it's just the drug culture is just taking over humanity. And so it's a part of the process. But you got to remember, if you have a relative or whatever who is playing that role, is in that template, not to be judgy of them or whatever. It's a really strong thing to come in and experience and grow from. There's a lot of stuff you go through, a lot of challenges the soul has to encounter and meet when they go into that dark, it's like a dark forest or something. And it's full of traps, and it's a hard place to be. So don't be judging they're weak and all that stuff. No, they come in to play that part. And when I'm talking about these parts, there was such a good point that was made the other day. Was this girl with the filter. So she puts on this filter, and she's very beautiful. Like I said, they enhance all your features. They take everything of you and just make it a little better. And I don't know what her face looks like before. I just know, like, when I did mine, that's what it did. It just took your features and just made them better. And so you can see why people are like, oh, well, I look good there, like out here in this crappy light. I look like a giant bags under my eyes. Look like I'm pulling myself out of the grave to come here and talk or something. But so she had this filter on, and she looked really pretty and whatnot. And so she said, I can't say it verbatim or whatever, I'll just give you the general overall, is, well, God knew what he was doing, because if he would have made me look like this, I would have been damaging everybody I came in contact with. I wouldn't have gave a shit. All I would have done is making damage everywhere. Because looking like this, what else are you going to do? And that is what I've been talking about. It's a template. It's like a role. It's like, and everybody plays them. It's not like, oh, well, they played it. No, you got to think, you've played this in different times. Like, everybody's played these roles. So you can get judgy and angry and stuff, but that is you. That's you that needs to work on you. Because all of these things are just roles. And so, when you see somebody who's extremely beautiful, it's a role that they're coming in, because everything's handed to them. Like, what do they do with it? And so, and then there's the ones that are so, oh yeah, and then and you can see how things go out of whack, because you're coming in to play a role, a template. You're playing this part, but it's a learning part. And so when people come in and then they like go in and do all of these surgeries so that they can look beautiful, and but that's like they're creating a whole new template, kind of like a trans, it's a whole new template. It's not a man or a woman anymore. Now you've created something different, and it is the same, like in the micro, macro, spiritual kind of thing. So when you came in to play a role, maybe you were like a plain Jane or whatever, but there's all these things to learn from that. Every motherfucking thing has things to learn. There's not an accident what you look like, and it can be, like maybe you're a woman and you have a really huge nose and it really, really bothers you and you just want to get a nose job. Well, whatever you were going to do is always what you were going to do. There's nothing you can do wrong. There's nothing that you can do different. You're just in replay. So you're always going to do what you're going to do. But, like in the advancement kind of souls, when you just start like looking at the things, to me, there always seems to be an opportunity to see things more clearly while you're alive, and to make decisions and choices while you're in this life. And you only can do that through awareness. And then you can only have awareness of the mystical if you believe in it. And so it's like a lot of steps. But because to me, it's like, then you go over and you cross over after you cut off your nose to spite your face. And then your lesson was to learn to accept yourself. And yeah, the challenge gets harder and harder and harder. But when you're there to accept yourself, and then, you're carrying, this nostalgic nose from, an ancestor, maybe you've got Ben Franklin's nose or something. And you also got him cheering you on, and you're so caught up in the mirror that you're angry and mad, and he's trying to tell you there's more to things, that there's so much more to what is represented to us. But so to then make a choice, well, I don't want to go through that experience. I don't want to learn to accept myself. I'm just gonna keep going on, chasing this artificial dream of everything can be perfect and I can look perfect and everything can be fine. And so I'm going to run out there and chase it and chase it and chase it. It's like, to me, then you go to the other side and then you're going to sit there and go like, oh my God, I got caught up in it again. Why didn't I just learn to love myself? Why didn't I just learn to accept myself? Why did I keep selling out? Like, why did I, that's what I think the lessons are. And I think even if, but you're never doing anything wrong. That's the thing. Because there's always, the lessons aren't, you don't have to learn them right now. You get to learn them over life after life after life. There's no pressure. You get to go through as many as, it takes to get lessons. Like, those practitioners, I've heard a lot of different practitioners talking about different things, like with people going back into past lives. Like, a lot of people like to play the bad guy role. Everybody's played bad guy roles. A lot of people were in some, dark times, and it takes a long time to learn lessons, and there's just all sorts of stuff. When you go in and you just start understanding, it's just stories. They're just stories after stories. And what's the meaning of it all? What's the purpose of it all? Well, it's so you can learn. It's because we're advancing, we're learning and growing, but it isn't like you're ever doing anything wrong. It's like there's no judgment. The judgment is in the lower density. It's where we create it so that we can, experience disappointment and anger and all of those things. Because, this is something, and I've said this before, but yesterday I thought this was a good example. Because my daughter, I've always seen us as like these two opposing energies. Like, I don't know all our past life problems, that we're trying to deal with, because to me a lot of it just seems like we come from like two different philosophies. It seems like that we both have like, I don't mean this in like an ego way or something like that at all. We're all at different levels or whatever, but it feels like that we're playing a more advanced game, like that we're supposed to notice more advanced things. And so it's kind of like you're in agreement when you come. It's like, well, let's see, let's do this. And so, when Mateus Stefano, he talks about that in what we think of as being the heavens, and where the angels are, is where angels and what we believe is demons. It's like the light and the dark. It's like the storm and what happens after the storm. It's part of the same process. It isn't like the light and the dark. Like, even here where we're battling the light, it's not like people take it on all different levels, but it's like you're driving way out. Like if you've ever done any road trips and you're driving way out and you've got all different terrains, all different places. Like on a lot of my drives, like right now I'm in all this open sky, but it's so much of it I'll be in the forest, and I'll go through parts that are just really, really dark. And so it's all different. And that's like the micro, macro. And so everything represents like life and purpose, and everything it's the I keep wanting to say, because it's like those reverberations. Like if you hit a bell and all the sound that goes out, it's like the same thing. It's like this energy. And so it's like, and that is the souls. That is like, but anyways, so you need the light and the dark. It is the creation of the whole, with one or the other bit. Like in here where we're battling, like light, we're going to light, is because in the history of the universe or whatever, like it is a travel, it's a trip, it's the micro macro. Like our lives we're on the little set roller coaster ride, and then on the other, you just think of it as being way bigger. So these cycles going into light and dark, like there's nothing that we have to do. Is this going to happen naturally? Like where people think, well, Jesus is going to come and save us, and then I understand it as the hand of God, is the natural progression of energy. And they take it down onto a different level. But I see it as like, it's a cycle. It's going to happen. And, another thing I think is, I was thinking, I wonder if they're trying to kind of slow it down. Like where I kept saying, like, maybe there's going to be a big giant event, but there's so many bad events that happen in isolated areas. And I started thinking, I wonder if they're trying to control the energy because I think it is the energy of this everybody awakening thing. Because every place where this stuff goes down, people are waking up, and we're all to happen at once. Like Greece, all of Greece got evacuated. Greece was being burned down last night or the night before, and so if all of the energy all happen at once, that's going to send out that sun thing. And so I'm just wondering if they're kind of like trying to slow drip, because like, I'm always complaining like, how motherfucking slow can they goddamn go? Like, come on, rip off the Band-Aid already. But it would make sense if it is like a slow energy, kind of like a controlled, like a dam in a river that's rushing. Like if they're trying to control the energy so that it's smaller bursts going out to the sun. But it's the energy of us all, awakening to like, I don't want that. Because yesterday there was one thing my daughter said, it's like, well, what are we supposed to do? Like, not everybody's going to suddenly stop buying everything, and I said, no, we can't do all of this stuff. All we can do is just keep talking about it. Talking about it brings the conversation up. It gets it to where people, realize it. It's the energy. That's the change. As we change our attitudes, we have awareness, so we can change our attitude. Because before we had awareness, we didn't even have it. We just took whatever, kick us in the teeth. Well, it's what we deserve, So, I mean, so many people were going destitute and just felt like, well, I should have done better. Well, and then the rest of everybody's just like, we're on a conveyor belt. Stay with the program. Don't mess up. Stay right here. We'll be to the next stop. It's like, this is no way to live. And so, I know it's a natural progression of going from light to dark. It just is the drive on the trip. You go through light and you go through dark. And so this battle that is occurring, but the awareness in the supernatural of the darkness, but understanding the darkness brings the light. Like we need the dark, we need the storm. And so, we have all these people leaving and stuff. And then Donna got really good news. And that is what I was talking about too with like, where people, you can get worried or whatever. You just don't know what could happen in any moment for people. Could all of a sudden be like, well, I really need to move now, and I want to move over by you. And I think Montana, I'm pretty sure that's what you said was, that's on the map. And see, and if she can't find a place, if she ends up finding a place and it's kind of out from town or whatever, that would be like, it will be like the perfect thing, because all these small towns are going to start building up everywhere, and getting to be a part of a community as it's building, you're going to have a lot more say, over things, You're going to be, as people pass through, be like, well, no, those people are all kind of like, they want to celebrate life, and well, I don't want to do that. I want to just keep to myself, like everybody's going to have their own things. But everybody will find their own places. But I think that's really cool. And I think that those subliminal messaging kind of things are working on people. When you turn on the TV and it keeps saying, people need to get out of California. If you got kids, get out of California. I swear to God, I think it's on billboards there. And I think a lot of people are leaving California. And, the people who are going to stay, they're supposed to be there. Like, they're not here for the next part, or they're coming in at a different time, or, I don't know how it's all going to go down. Like, it's very curious. Like, some of this while I'm out going, stuff I'm keeping on am I on my goodbye trip? I'm going around saying goodbye to everybody, and I'm going to be the one gone, and I don't really, man, that would really wake my mom up. Like, whoa, I don't even know, all the things coming into my head. It's like, oh, I don't know. She wouldn't say that. She wouldn't just call me a creep. I just think, it messes with her head that I'm aware of people talking in my mind. And so, I don't know. I think that most people, especially people who don't, and I don't think anybody in my family does, but especially people who don't, I mean, you just sound crazy. You sound crazy when you say it. And they were just like, okay, weirdo. But there was some other things. So we went, and I had this little meltdown fit yesterday too. Because the motherfucking thrift stores, they really pissed me off. And my daughter, she's just like, well, then maybe you just need to stop going. That's a good thing about when you have people in your family that are willing to hurt your feelings. You know, that aren't willing to like dance around you, just call you out on your shit. And, you know, because you got to see yourself sometimes, but not in a cruel, mean way. Not tell me, you know, I'm a stupid idiot or whatever. But then to say, well, if it's going to put you in such a bad mood, then you're going to make the mood of the whole day around your bad mood. I said that. You know, she's like, and those are all valid, really good points. And then in my idea is, you know, I'm not changing my mood. I'm releasing my anger to, you know, that is like my Band-Aid being pulled off, the thrift stores, you know. It's a store that I'm going to for 45 fucking years. I started going such a long time ago. I used to go to them when I was a teenager. We'd go look for weird clothes to wear. And and then I went to Mount Necessity when my kids were young. And then by then I was already hooked. You know, go find some cool thing at the thrift store. And everything used to be like $1.99. And it was excellent. But people like kind of look down on you like, okay, thrift store shopper, buy used stuff, weirdo. And, you know, so it kind of had a stigma. And then as soon as it becomes like accepted, they just jack the prices up. And then you get these people working in them who I don't think have ever even shopped in one. And they're so uppity. And then you say something about the pricing, and then they're totally snotty. And then this fucking, can we round up? Ever since that woman said that, you know, about the rounding up, and hers was that 3 cents, and or it might have been even 2 cents, and she said no. And everybody in the line, the cashier, everybody but her, it was like it's the not the philosophy, it's the point. It's like standing up for what's right and wrong. And so I was like, fuck, yeah, it's some bullshit. I'm not going to just agree to it because then it's pressure from the crowd. And so, and it's wrong. Like, we're coming here buying free shit that you got free, and you're supposed to be paying handicapped people to improve their quality of life to work here. You're supposed to be doing all this productive shit. And then, with all this free shit that was, you know, saving it from going to the dump, and then you have, you know, you round up. You want to round up this 26 cents. You want to round up your 97 cents. You want to round up your 56 cents. Every place does this. But at the thrift store, when they are sitting there getting this shit for free, and then it's coming out, these CEOs, you know, they're making $500,000 a year, and they're charging the poor people to come there to shop $12.99 for a used goddamn dress. I mean, I saw a girl pay for a basket the other day. It was like a goddamn basket. And then she was sure, well, it has to be famous people's signatures. It could have just been a bunch of people who went on a picnic, and it could have been one of those baskets that they were sold at an auction, and everybody on the team signed up. But she's sure because it's $23.99. It's like, no, these people who are pricing are whacked out. They are whacked out on the system. They don't think for themselves. They're a bunch of fucking robots. And but seriously, when they say, you want to round up for 26 cents for our go-to eat lunch program for kids, or so the old people don't starve program, you know, all these fucking catchy little phrase programs that they got, that 26 cents, boy, that's going to save the fucking world if I give you goddamn 26 cents. But that's $50 I just spent on the free shit. What the hell's that doing? That's going straight into the CEO's fucking raise. Like, fuck off this shit. Like, and then you want to sit here and get all upset with me because I won't give 26 cents? You can't even believe. Start telling them that you're not going to round up no matter where you go, and see. It's like they turn into like, how dare you? How dare you? These kids, the hungry older people, like, oh my God, I can't believe you. It's like, okay, I don't know what's going on up in there, but start using it. Might do you some good. But so, you know, I want I'm having this release from this, and this like irritation by these, it's probably the same people who judged people for working at the or going to the thrift store now are working at it, and that they're snotty, and then you say something about a pricing. And I went, and there was this, now we're going on this camping trip, and when we would go walk in, and my daughter's like, "Oh, furniture's half price." And there was this big mat thing, and it was a furniture thing, and it said it was a pad for camping, and I knew it wasn't. I thought it was like a tumbler pad or something, but it was still like, oh, this is like a really nice little cushion for camping. This would be perfect. So whoever thought of it, but they charged $45. I was like, what in the holy hell is going on with the Salvation Army? Are you so far up your ass? $45 for a used fucking tumbling mat? And so, but it was half price, so it was 22 or whatever. So I got it, but I bitched about it. And, and then the universe gave me a quick, swift kick right back, because I left my goddamn phone. Left my motherfucking phone right on my goddamn counter. And I came out thinking that woman probably picked it up and probably stuck her finger in some gross and wiped it on my phone. I was like, God damn it. I really need to go take some wipes to it. I keep getting that image in my mind. But she was so snotty. And so then when I was paying for my fucking mat, and I was gonna get this table, and then when my daughter said it wouldn't fit in the car, the lady's like, "You need to take that back there and put it back." And my daughter said, I would have ignored her, but I'm always like, I don't care, be a bitch, I'm gonna put it back. I'm sure it'd be more exercise than you need today. We wanna, go down a size or two. So just sit there and complain to me, so I'll go do it. And so I went and took it back, and I don't know what her anger was. Maybe I was just exuding irritation or something. The other thrift store before that too, the young girl, I brought up a purse. It was this cool purse. It looked like it was from the 70s, but the strap, it's not perfect. I like to wear it across, and I would have to wear it on one shoulder, but they're always falling off when you do that. And but it was a cool bag. But the zipper was all broken, so it was $14.99 for this fucking used purse. It was leather, but it was like had rips in it and stuff. And so I go up and I said, when they priced this, I don't know if they understood the zipper is not attached, it's not working and stuff. Can this be reduced? And she's sitting there looking at it, like, what in the world is this thing? Like, I swear to God, you take them off their script and they don't know what to do. And then, so she's just looking at it, and then she goes, well, our pricer's not here till Monday. I can't do anything. I can't say, I gotta give it to the pricer. So I'll just send it to the pricer, and it'll be back out on Monday. I was like, okay, fine. I'm not, that's some bullshit. Like, get it repriced for somebody else, because that's some bullshit. And I'm not gonna come back and get it. And it's just like, and then she wanted me to round up. And I said no. Oh, still is at the door. Hold on. No, I'm not going. There's a little opening right there, and she goes straight over there. Okay, I'm doing this. You know what I'm doing. So will you go lay down, please? Bad breath lady, I'll feed you in a minute. And she gets so picky. Part of me is just like, oh, what am I doing? I would like to be at home right now. And then I just get off of all my thing. I didn't even finish my mat story, but so I got the mat anyways. And when I was paying for it, I was like, I was being passive aggressive for sure, because I was just like, something used to be $6.99. Back 5 years ago, come to Salvation Army, this would have been $6.99. It's like, that's some bullshit. Like, I don't know, you fucking pricers are up your ass. And then that pissed her off. So, I left my phone and go to the next one. And I didn't get anything at that one. But there was some interaction that was weird. I could be like, what in the world? All these people who are out working, they're just like so robotic. Or it's just so strange. And they all just act like, if you even speak to them, it's just like, what? What? Oh, which, by the way, um, um, my son-in-law just put on this movie, and I was watching it, and this one character comes out. It caught my attention because I was like, "Are you trying to act like Jim Carrey or something?" So I looked over to see, and I was like, "Oh my God, he kind of looks like him." And then it was way shorter, and so I was like, intrigued. Like, is this a clone? Is this somebody who's just like a young actor who's trying to, recreate a persona? And then, so I was like, this is weird, but I mean, I know like a few years back, like I talked about, because I saw that one, it really tripped me out because it was like a Ben Stiller, Tom Cruise mashup. It was so trippy. And it was in, they put these people in these lower budget movies or something. Like they can't pay, the more successful actors. They'll just take something that worked. Like even Kevin Hart said he's got like 11 clones. There's probably even more. But so they take something that works and they try and recreate it. So they get like their DNA, like who knows? I mean, some of it, there could be people that were like, thought it was a good idea in the way beginning. Who knows? I mean, Britney Spears, like, fuck, I don't even know how many clones that girl's got. Because that one guy who was at that cloning center, he said that they made the Britney Spears one, she was like on a repeat because so many, and she may not be the style anymore, who knows, but there was so many men who wanted to just have their way with her. And it wasn't just all, some of them would beat her senseless. Oh, he said it was so horrible. He couldn't believe it. He said it was the worst thing because these rich people pay to have these clones, just like what they're doing with the CGI people now and stuff. They just are so strange. But that they would, pay to get a clone of a person so that they can have a sex toy or do whatever they want. And that guy, I don't even know if you could find him anymore. I saw him a few years back. And he is the same one who was saying, like, he was the one writing all these songs, and then they take his, like, sad poetry and put it to music and put it out with a band that needed a hit. And it was all this guy's sad poetry of watching this horribleness in this cloning center. So, I don't know. I mean, there's, of course, people who think he's crazy, but then, I mean, all the pieces keep going together. You're watching a movie, and then these people come out. It's like, that is strange. Like, you look like this person. You act like him. You're just a recreation of your own doing, or is it, you're part of your DNA? And I think it is a part of the DNA. That's my personal opinion. I mean, some of the people have become successful, and then you have these movie stars that all look exactly the same. Or weird. Like, it's really weird, unless it is like a lab thing going on. Unless they're doing it on purpose. And then even when they do them, and they have, matching success people, then I'm sure to them, they're like, see? And they always think of us as just being so simple, but look at it. See? It works. They all like this. And then plus how everybody gets all on board on one style. Nobody can, break into all these different styles. Well, we do have a lot of different styles, but it is more of like the trends that they push. Because there's like different styles. Like you've got different people. Like you've got cowboy girls. You got, sporty girls. You got girly girls. You got all types of different styles. But like certain trends, like where all these girls will look like Kim Kardashian. And, I think it seems like a lot of men, like on social media and stuff, are now talking more about, like, women, why are you putting on so much makeup? We don't even like makeup. Or why don't you just be more confident in how you look? What are you trying to hide? like they're saying more things about that. And I'm sure to women that they're just like, oh my God, can you believe, how dare him? But, those are all the things that get you to question for yourself. Just like my daughter yesterday, getting me to question for myself. Okay, so, I'm in my process of releasing, so I'm not holding on to this anger and resentment to this store, but I'm also putting my bitching out into someone else's mood. And so then I am taking over the energy of the room. So that's not appropriate. And so it's like, okay, well, I got to go further into my own process. You can't just be out like, man, poor me, you're going to charge me more, and be, whining and crying about it or something. And so, when it is affecting other people, and, she was right. Like, if you're, if it's going to bother you so much, just stop going to them. Don't do something that's going to bother you. I say that stuff all the time, but then, sometimes you have to have it said back to you so that you can remember. And one thing that's funny too is like, she was telling me something, she was explaining something to me about something, I don't remember what it was. And I was just thinking it's so funny because this is something I explained to her when she was younger, but now she's explaining it to me like, and this is something that I thought about too, because while I was driving, on this, going to the beach that day, I was getting hungry, and I'm thinking, God, I should have brought food. And I was like, oh yeah, she made sandwiches. Oh, cool, I forgot, yeah. Oh my gosh, I got this sandwich. I'm so excited of this sandwich. When I get there, I'm gonna be able to eat this sandwich. Oh my God, I'm so glad she thought of making us sandwiches. I could just chit, like the whole thing, like the whole picnic. And so then I started thinking, like, what gets people to do that? Like, was it when she was little and I was making picnics and we'd go out and eat picnics? Like, if I was doing it, it was definitely because we didn't have money. If we would have money, I would have been like, okay, we'll go through McDonald's. I'll get y'all McDonald's, but otherwise it was like, okay, well, I'll make us some peanut butter sandwiches and we'll go to the park and get some chips. If I was doing picnics, it would have been probably like that. And then singing, okay, but then their dad, like that raised them, he always was wanting to cook out, go camping, even if it was for a day, like go to the beach and cook out and stuff like that. And so it's like, so kind of, would have been more ingrained into her to think that way. But I certainly wasn't thinking that way. I'm halfway there thinking, damn it, wish I brought something to eat. And then with her, then I was thinking, but is it the thing that impacted her to think that way? Like, oh, we're going to the beach, I better make sure we take some food, I'll make a picnic. If she was thinking that way, like how many times that she went with their own kids and everybody all of a sudden was like hungry and starving. It's like, damn it, I should have made a picnic. It's just crazy, all the different things throughout our life. And where it's like the seeds, there's always seeds being planted, there's always things happening, and we always get these opportunities. But when is it that it really impacts us, or do we just grow into these things, And so I was just like, it's just interesting. And I told her, I said, I really appreciate that. It's interesting. It's like, where was it that it came from? And she couldn't remember. She's just like, it always just seemed like, and that probably is, is that it's like we're programmed. And where does the program even start? I think we know where it starts. They do it. They create it, and then they decide how they want to program us. And then these reset things. But this reset thing that they're trying to do is different than the cosmic reset. It's kind of micro macro though, because we allowed this habitat to become our reality, to become all who we thought we were. And so it is, it's the disillusion. It's got to, go apart, and then you got to see, that you're more than what you thought you were. But all the people who just are so mentally attached to this place, because it's just so crazy how much I talk about things to people and they're always just think it just sounds so nuts. Like, everybody always just think I sound so nuts. The thing I say sounds nuts. The thing I think sounds nuts. This thing about the money, well, that's nuts. The thing about there won't be schools, that's nuts. Everybody's like they can't even imagine life without these things. It's like, but that's why it's gonna happen, because you got yourself in a trap, thinking that that's what life is, and it's not. And so it all has to fall apart. It all has to break down, and it is like, and that now they're gonna keep showing me that the drive, this drive going from the light to the dark. It's just the movement through the planes. It's like, how we think of it as like space. Everything's just like this wide open black space out there, but it's like, how it's shown to me like right now is like this long curving road of possibilities with all different terrains and some shade, like everything possible, every possibility. So but it has the shifts from light to dark, and then it's all in between. And right now it's so crazy because I feel like in my own mind, I think like I'm higher vibration because I don't let things bother me that used to bother me. I try and think about my actions. I could have gotten all mad. Well, this would have been the old Kelly. Would have been, well, what you did. Well, what, it was always like, well, don't point out what I do because look what you do. It's just like this fire back. I was firing back, blah, blah, blah. And so, but instead to just be like, okay, well, that's your perspective. I mean, I can completely still see like what I'm doing. I'm not going to shame myself. I'm not going to say you're wrong, Kelly. See, you're horrible. You shouldn't be, getting mad. You shouldn't have any anger. You shouldn't have any emotions. You shouldn't be triggered ever or anything like that. I'm just going to become more aware of like, okay, well, it's not nice to, put your mood off on somebody else. Yeah, have your mood. You do you, but don't put it on somebody. So then, yeah, I gotta own that. I don't want to be putting, especially when somebody's taking you out to lunch and stuff for your birthday and is trying to have a really good day and stuff. And then, I don't want to turn it sour. I mean, I did for however long, just when I do get on a bitch fast, I do get like, and so, anyways, but we learn from each other. It's not like she's gonna hate me forever, but she's gonna see me through that lens of like, that's why when we're driving and she's got it in her head that I'm back there losing my mind because we've been driving too long or something. And but that is my opportunity to show different. No, that didn't trigger me. I can walk myself through that, especially like out driving. I can it's hard for me to not be in meditation. One thing I've really been noticing so much, it really is hard for me to stay present. Like this thing that they call disassociated. Like I'm so disassociated, and people make like it's a problem. That gets in your mind like, well, I'm always disassociated. What are you talking about? Like it's not good because I'm always disassociated. Like, fuck, if people knew how disassociated it was, like, I think my avatar is walking around without me half the time. I think half the time when people are talking to me, I'm just sitting there like, because I'm not present. I'm always in, I don't know, it used to be like La La Land, or always in kind of like some sort of fantasy world or whatever. But now that I understand more, it's just like I've just never been that connected to this institution of life or whatever. Like I've always been one foot in, one foot out. And so it is, it's way harder than me to stay grounded and stay present and stay focused. And but that is what they told me, with the pain and stuff. is what pain is used to keep me grounded. And you know what, thinking like, oh, well, you know, it could be the formaldehyde in my joints, what makes them so painful. But I've seen some of these girls talking about the implant disease or whatever. So that could be a big thing. When I get these implants out, all of this joint pain could totally go away. Like all these women who have implants all have joint pain. Everybody has these certain things. So as soon as I get them out, I swear to God, I tried a few years ago. I told them, I think one of them popped. And so then they tried to charge me for the mammogram. It's like, piss the fuck off. Oh God, this system is such nonsense. It's such nonsense. And so, but then they're like, oh no, I'm perfectly fine. I'm like, well, why is this one falling over here? And oh, well, that's okay. This one's probably encapsulated, or it would fall too. Oh, okay, well, that's cool. So this one's probably encapsulated. Okay, cool. And my mom has one encapsulated, and it just hardens. You have to keep pushing it, shoving it around or something. I was like, I just want the motherfucker out of me. And so but that was back when I was still, you know, it was before 2020. And so I think it was 2019, and I was still willing to go under the knife then. I mean, I still let them laser my goddamn eyes in 2021. No, that was right before 2020, because that was when we went into lockdown. They had just lasered my eyes, and I had no way to get rechecked, nothing. I was like, this is some fucking bullshit. And I had nothing but problems. And I think if I wouldn't be doing all this detoxing, I'd be fucking almost blind. But what was I gonna say? There's a bunch of other things. Get too focused on that. So getting the implants. Now I just so much about, like, I don't want them to cut into me or put me to sleep or any of that stuff. And now, I mean, they're killing people like doing that right now too. All of the things, they're using every mode that they can to, you know, take people out. But, you know, you got to remember, the soul is taking the opportunity for a quick exit. You know, because a lot of the souls, it's going to be abrupt, because they don't want to stay here and be sick. The sickness is another template, it's another role, it's another lesson plan. It's a completely different one to have a long sickness. It's a completely different one to all the different diagnoses. They all have their own thing. So a lot of the souls that are trying to leave quick, they're not here to go through that. They're just here for a boom, quick exit, because it's the people leftovers. It's for their lessons. It's for them to go through the loss, to process, to, you know, remember how important life, to appreciate life, to appreciate time, to appreciate time with people. All of those things is for the lessons for people. And everybody will have their own personal stuff. Like, it'll, you know, things will eat at them. Things will keep making them think about things. But, you know, anybody who passes, I say keep talking to them. But if you don't get something right away, you know, a lot of people, when they go, there's a period of confusion, because people think they're going to die, and when they're still up walking around but they can't communicate with people, they get very confused. And so that's why, you know, it's a good thing to learn. You know, you don't die. There's no such thing. It's impossible. But so when they leave, so if you're trying to communicate with the person and they aren't right off the bat, don't give up. Don't think, oh, well, you know, it doesn't work, or I can't hear, or whatever. Just continue, and they'll continue to try and figure out ways to communicate with you. You know, they'll do it all sorts of ways, you know. Something on the floor in front of you, all of a sudden, a thing on the channel will all of a sudden say something and it'll catch your attention. Like, they do it in all sorts of ways. So they'll start communicating with you, and don't forget, it is a development. You just start working on communicating with them, and they'll, you know, you can say stuff, but make sure you're talking to your person. Make sure you're not talking to a trickster. You know, there's tricksters around. is, some people don't have keywords, so not everybody's prepared for this, but you have certain things that you can ask them or something, to see. And you can use different things. Like people, they get all freaked out using Ouija boards, and you can use crystals. You can use, there's everything you can use. You can use cards, all sorts of things. That's your way of communicating with the spirit world, because it is like a language barrier, obviously. And so we use what I think they're called deviation tools or divination tools or something like that. But, people get all up in their, fear about, well, it's the devil, it's the dark spirits and stuff. No, they're just like tricksters. There's ones that, are having fun, playing. There is your attachments, the dark energy that attaches to you. And there is your ancestry, your people who are all around you that are, still cheering on, just like you will, be cheering your grandkids on if you were to pass. It's the same thing. Everybody is still, we're part of this same scheme, the same thing. And remember, it is a long road with multiple times and multiple destinations. But everybody wants to see where the road goes. Like if you're born way here and you want to still see where the road goes, so you've got people around you all the time. But the more you work on it, the more you'll pick up on that energy. You'll feel it. With your kid, hopefully you can feel their energy, and just, it's like, oh man, it feels like they're right here. It feels like they're right here with me, because they are. And so usually you can start to feel, but if you don't, just don't stress about it. It's just because you have to get back in touch with your system, your honing in system, your spirit. You got to get back into communication with your own spirit so that you can then start communicating with other spirits. But then just work on, because it isn't like what they say, like you have all these devils around, they're just waiting for you to pick up a fucking pendulum and try and talk. And you always ask them to identify themselves or whatever. Just like you can ask as an energy to clear your space and stuff. So, but what I noticed on that clearing thing is not all energies are like this lower frequency, like that. I don't know if it's these astral travelers or if it's these, these men in black people who monitor the astral, or if we have other beings around that police us. I'm not sure. I don't know where all our spirit, because to me, it always seems like you're just going like, when you're dreaming or whatever, it's like you're going into like a classroom sometimes, or you're going into like a giant movie theater sometimes, or you're going into like a role play room sometimes. Like like when you think about dreams, like you're going from room to room and all of this stuff. So is that like a monitored place? Are we really not going way out? Like, are we still in the firmament the whole time, even when we are outside of our bodies? Like, I don't know. I don't know how this all works until we start getting to really have it all be seen. And I don't know if the people in control really know how it all works, because why are they trying to use CERN and shit and break through things? Like, why don't they understand it's about well, that's what they're doing. They're trying to increase like the frequency or something with using these machines. But it is more, all this stuff is artificial. I don't know. I don't think that's the way we want to go through realms. Just burst in, like, here we come, like, shove ourselves in there. I think that is like the Philadelphia Project shit. Then all of a sudden you find these men and they're half in the wall and half out. It was all sorts of creepy shit on that. And I heard Tesla and Edison were involved in that Philadelphia Project. I don't know, but that just to me, like, there's a lot of beings here that are trying to understand the other world. But to me, it's like, just tune into yourself, tune into your spirit. Your spirit is connected to the other spirits. Like, just tune into yourself, and then you'll start, but the biggest thing it seems that people have to get over is this programming. It's how people were programmed, and each person has their own stuff to get over, their own, ways that they are held back from being in touch with their own spirit. But anyways, I recommend it, of course. That's what I'm always talking about. But, I just think it's important through this time to just really, don't be hard on yourself. Like, I'm not going to be hard on myself. I mean, you got to go out and interact with people so you can get some triggers sometimes, So, and, this whole time while I'm out doing this, I've got to manage my fear. I can't sit here and be like, oh my God, today. What if it's today? What if it's today? What if the banks go down? What if I'm trapped here? What if I never get back to my house? Because my mind will want to go there sometimes. And I got to reel it in. And then I got to talk myself down. I got to keep myself in check. I got to, wherever you're supposed to be, you're going to be. There's nothing you can do about it. You're going to be where you're supposed to be at all times. Everywhere you are is right exactly where you're supposed to be. There's nothing you're doing wrong. There's nothing you need to do right. There's nothing you need to change. It is a natural progression, just like it's the only road you've got to go on, is where you're going to be, is exactly where you're going to be. And so, whenever this is going to go down, or however it's going to go down, I'm going to be where I'm supposed to be. But it is, it is intense, because it's like it's summertime. I want to see it, and then the babies and stuff, I want to see everybody, and it's really only a couple hours from my house. And then it is, and then besides that, it's like knowing, like, seriously, if this goes on and on, is this gonna be another goddamn winter locked up in that fucking place? It's like, oh man, I'm gonna have to get, I don't know. It's just like, man, these winters have just been so long, especially when moving to a place that isn't even supposed to be that long a winter. The passes, but, even in my own home, like when it's all just like snow, you can't even get out, you can't go anywhere, you can't do anything, and it's just like, oh my gosh. And, I don't know. I mean, it's been good for me. It's been so great for my healing and my growth. And, and it's where I was supposed to be, but it definitely is on my mind of like, well, I've got to get out this summer and get out and do things. So I don't want to be sitting there, a whole nother winter, not being able to get out of the house and do things. And so, but it's like, oh my gosh, anything can happen. And my hair is falling out like crazy. I just feel like there's so many things. Oh yeah, the energy thing. Because I'll go around and I'll think like I'm, good on my vibration or whatever. And then, like, for the past few days, it's like every motherfucking thing that can go wrong has gone wrong. You bet your ass if something can fall, it's gonna fall. Like, this to me is so Mercury retrograde-ish, like, where those kinds of things, like you'll be around people and they'll be like, everything's going wrong and it's Mercury retrograde. And so it's been like that, but I don't know if it is some retrograde or something, but it is so freaking strange, how everything just keeps going. And where I was like, maybe it is, I'm separating. Maybe my energy is separating from this. That would, oh my God, if I was taken away and my mom wasn't, oh my God, she would, I still think the rapture is the low vibration. I think the rapture is the people who don't want to, whatever it is, like it could be so many different things, but I think it has to do with vibration. I don't think high vibration, but it could be that, I'm only shown what I'm supposed to see. And maybe it is, I'm just got this big jump. Maybe I'm going to go through this and then I'm going to jump into, I have no idea. I don't, there's certain things we're not even supposed to know. We got to rest in the fact that our soul wouldn't put us through something that was going into, nothing can hurt us. nothing can really hurt us, but it is like, you know, you do grow, you do see yourself, you do change through all this stuff. And so, you know, all these opportunities are for that to occur, for growth and expansion. So, but it is, you know, the not knowing and then having this weird thing happen, like, you know, am I separating from this vibration? And, you know, I hope things are going wrong for everybody, but even my daughter yesterday, she was just like, well, it's your vibration. You know, it's like, okay, well, I guess, you know, I don't know. I really don't know. I'm having just weird things, this being disassociated, being like, where I feel like I completely don't even know how long I've been here. I feel like I'm just in some kind of like weird space bubble again, like where I feel like I've been here for months or something, but I know it's only a few days. But it's like, it's weird, like these weird time things that keep happening. Or so I don't know, where I feel like I'm just going in from dream to dream. I feel like I'm lucid dreaming. What I used to think was alive, now I just feel like I'm just lucid dreaming. Like I don't feel like I'm alive, and I feel like, or feeling alive to me is an illusion, and in the illusion keeps you in a mind trap where I don't want to stay trapped in, you know, what's going on in this three-dimensional world where it's all going out of control, and you got these psychopaths running everything. And but all those people got to see that side of themselves. Everybody has this opportunity to have the darkness come out of them, because that is the dark to light. We've accrued darkness in us. We've all got all this darkness in us. We've all been playing these roles. We've got all this darkness. And so we're releasing it, and it's all purging out. It's all around us. But it's the release of that is what brings the light, where we all of a sudden, we're all like, oh, whew, fuck, man, that feels so good. I just released all that, man. I didn't even know I had so much darkness inside of me. Then it's the rebirth. Then it's like, because you can't live in that high vibration, good feeling if you're full of darkness. You got to release the darkness so you can experience the high vibration, the goodness, the joy. And so anyways, that's the process where it's like the shedding of the humanity's skin, so that we can move into the, you know, the new snake. So anyways, but there was like all those different things I wanted to say. It seems like there was something else. I haven't been on, let's see, I went on TikTok, I think I saw like 10 or 15 last night of them before I went to bed, but it was just like so redundant. It's like the people who are stuck are so stuck. They just keep talking about the same things over and over, and they're all just in fear. Oh, well, you know what they're going to do next, what they're going to do next. And but as far as I'm concerned, what they're going to do next is, you know, this bad stuff's going to keep happening. Wake people up. The money thing's going to go down. The government's going to go down. More things with all of our idols, celebrities, rich people, all of the people who, you know, I mean, everybody was making choices. Some people chose darkness, and, you know, and maybe they don't want to deal with it, and they just would rather stay low vibration and leave on that opportunity. But the people who do stay, the people who are going to be staying, they are going to be, you know, the seeders of the new earth, the healers, the ones who've healed themselves, who bring themselves forward, who release their pain and suffering to experience something new. And so it will be all like-minded people, even though it will be still like kind of different philosophies. Like, we're not all going to be exactly the same, but we're all going to be kind of like a resilient bunch, self-motivated, you know, excited about life, you know, taking responsibility for ourselves. You know, it's going to be, you know, it's going to be cool. But I really did start thinking that today, where I started thinking, you know, how slow this is going. And, oh, that's what I was seeing yesterday. It was more derailments, the Greece fire. And I was like, so much trauma. localized trauma, and that awakens people up. People wake up to so much stuff. So that is a mass awakening, but it would be very controlled. Like, we know there's going to be a mass awakening. We're close. We know when the solar flash happens, there's going to be some big stuff that's going to happen, like, on the planet. And you got to get people to understand you're not really alive. You're eternal. Just get out this life and death thing. And this whole thing, there's a lot of stuff that has to go on to get people ready for the cataclysm, to get people in safe places and get people to heal. I mean, you can't, there's like, people who are on this other level have been doing the healing for a long time. I mean, when I start talking hologram and simulations and stuff, people are just like, think I sound so insane. It's like, yeah, well, I used to be like you. Well, wait, you just got a little further down the road. You'll start seeing what I'm talking about. It's a progression. And so, but those of us who are in that part, that the higher part of the game or something, is those are things for, I just had a bunch of things come in my head. And there's always somebody who keeps opening and closing the door over there. And I keep thinking, are they just listening? Like, so strange. Let me think what I was going to say. I had a bunch of things. It's like, sometimes it's like a collision. But it is like I said, there's lots of things going on. It's like multiple things trying to be shown at once, and sometimes it just will be a collision of stuff, and then it kind of is like you can't see anything for a second, and it kind of clears my mind for a second. I have to regroup it. But so the souls that are here, so like there's the different things that everybody is here growing and learning. And so for people who are been doing all of this healing and stuff, it is about this moving spiritually, more advancing, to continue to advance. There isn't like an end. You just can keep going and going and going. And so it is like all different levels, and everybody's playing their own kind of thing. Like, I mean, no matter what, until my guides tell me I'm wrong about, and I wish they would hurry and tell me if I am, but, whenever I say something to my kids, they always just think I sound so wacky. Like, how do you meet people you don't know? It's like, how do you meet anybody? Like, what are you talking about? How did you meet? It's like, your paths cross. Like, everybody, like, if you're meant to cross someone's path, you're meant to cross someone's path. And to me, this crossing paths and recognition is like another level in the game. It is like these other levels. I think there is people who are here, like, I'm going to go in this crowd, you go over there in this crowd, and let's see if we can find each other through all of this. Because it is about vibration. It's about this, this magnetic pull. That's what they've shown me, and I've heard this stuff so many times lately. So it's always what they show me and tell me, because they told me about the magnetic pull, like, 2016, no, it was 2017, no, because that was after that. So yeah, I think it was 2018. They started telling me about that magnetic pull thing, because I had so many questions, like, what is going on, But no matter, other people think, like, your souls don't have connections, you're just, everything's by accident, is, I don't know. Like, that's not how I understand life at all. But, like, I talk to people, and they just, always think I just sound so wacky. It's like, I think it sounds so wacky the way y'all look at it. It's like, now I've been living like this. This isn't something that's new to me. Like when my daughter would try and lecture me something about a spiritual, I was like, dude, I've been living like you just have never known me. You never stop and listen to me. It's so funny too, because she thinks she's like a really good listener, but she doesn't realize how much she interrupts me. And she may not interrupt other people, it may just be me. And that's just the role of a mom. You trigger your kids, you trigger the fuck out of them, man. Like, I'm sure I was totally embarrassing to her that I said, well, back in the day, this would have been $6.99. She's always like, oh my God, Mom, you're turning into such a prude. It's like, I have never wanted to watch sex on TV, like, never. I've been this prude since, like, you can ask any of my exes, anybody who was wheeling out those movies, be like, hey, let's watch it. No, God, that girl is being abused. I can't watch that. Oh my God. It's like, no, I've always, and then when they started putting it right into all the movies, I've always been a prude about that. I've always thought that was inappropriate and uncomfortable. And, but that to me is that same thing as like, well, I can say it and I can stand here on my rock and say, sound like a fool. But until everybody else starts talking about it, everybody else starts noticing it, and it crosses everybody else's boundaries, then, we'll continue to have it. But once people start talking about it and saying like, yeah, I don't like that. I don't want to watch, these 26-year-olds pretending to be 14-year-olds doing it all day long. Like, I don't want to watch that. Like, but that is, the same thing as what I told my daughter. It's us. We're the change. It's where we start talking about things, the things that we don't accept, the things that we want to see different. It's our moral standard that we're setting here for a society. So it is us raising the bar. We've been down here like on Harry Hines for a long ass time. We're down in the what is that called, in that song of it was like a 80s song of being down in the concrete jungle. Was it called the concrete jungle? No, asphalt jungle, something jungle. Had that guy who would kind of scream when he would sing. He had long hair. I think that guy got into a lot of troubles. Like, I think a lot of these, singers and stuff, like, they go into it all, like, they want to go out and rock the world. And then they get into that corporate, weird, I don't know, like, would Harry Styles really be out, like, performing in an evening gown if he didn't have corporate overlords pushing an agenda? And not everybody gets in there and is comfortable with selling their soul, and a lot of them get hooked up on drugs, and so a lot of things happen. People, they begin an internal battle. The internal battle is your soul doesn't like what you're doing, and you keep doing it. So then you got to go through that internal battle. That is your soul. It's going to let you know. It's going to tell you. And, I say listen to it. I demanded to be heard when I was very young, and so I've always been listening. But, I'm just recommended. I recommend everybody to start. If you can't hear it, start trying to listen. Start trying to ask it questions. Start trying to communicate with it. Because I'm sure it's been trying to communicate with you for a long time. But it's easy to get caught up in the 3D, phony-ass world and not listen to your soul, because your soul will stand on a rock on its own, and they don't give a shit. They don't care if everybody else thinks they're crazy. And so mine, as everybody sits and tells me I'm crazy, they're always sitting there, it's okay, you can get through this. It's okay. Come on, guys. I'm really sick of this. Can't you just throw me a bone? Something gotta happen to me. And like, I'm not crazy. I know I'm not crazy. So I'm gonna go with what they tell me. Even if it's frustrating as shit, until they change it, until they tell me different. I gotta trust them. They've been talking to me for a long ass time and telling me things, and it's just so weird when you say things that they tell you and everybody just thinks you're so crazy. But another thing they tell me is like, well, not everybody's meant to listen to your higher self, to your guidance. You got to get comfortable with yours, but you got to get comfortable with them, get comfortable with theirs. Nobody has to worship what you have to say. Nobody has to listen to you. So get out of your own ass and shut up and quit whining and complaining. It's like, I don't know. I don't know what the future is going to be of, what is just around the corner. I think there's going to be some dramatic things are going to happen. Like, there still is going to be this changing, and it's just weird, because when there started being like censorship, where I thought it was being lifted like on YouTube, and I started seeing changes in numbers and start going up, and it just is like still, it just gets reeled back in. But then I see like on the news and stuff, there's all this stuff about censorship. So they've got to keep making sure the people being censored are dealing with it and feeling it. So we keep putting the energy out and bitching and complaining about it, so everybody else starts hearing about it and talking about it, because it's got to, people got to realize we're being controlled. What we talk about now, they're saying that you're gonna have to show your driver's license if you want to communicate on social media. It's like, it's such ludicrous shit. The absurdity of this shit is just beyond. So, but there will be a time when that censorship is released, and that is what I keep seeing. There will be a big flip, because all these people that they are censoring, like me, and all the weird shit that they obviously don't want us to talk about, and all the things that everybody's talking about, they're being censored. That's going to flip, and there's going to be a big flip in energy and what people talk about and stuff. So that, to me, is just around the corner somewhere. It just is going slower than I thought, because I thought once the numbers start going, I thought, okay, this is it, we're going. And all of a sudden it's like, whoa, slow it down. Well, first we're going to talk about censorship and your rights as human beings on the news for, who knows, next 2 years. Let's just show it hurry and go down. Like, because I have the extra stress now too of the House panel. But I just got to stand for what's right. I got to stand up for what's right. And so even if I got to stand on a rock by myself in the middle of a storm, I got to stand for what's right. Because if I go against my soul, the inner turmoil is worse than what anybody can lay on me out here. So anyways, just I'm going to keep going with me and sounding crazy, and just, I don't know, keep knowing that no matter what's going to happen, it's going to be good. We're going into good times, not bad times. We're leaving bad times behind. Bad times are falling apart. They're breaking down. So the bad times are going, and we're headed for the good. So let's just focus on that and headed into that time of our trip when you go in through the light and it feels so good and the car's warm. You feel the sun's brightness. So it's all coming. So anyways, just stay, keep working on you, whatever it is, whatever things you have to work on. If it's your triggers, if it's your self-esteem, if it's your anger, if it's your addictions, whatever it is, don't be hard on yourself. Don't be, be expecting more from yourself. Just take it like you've got all the time in the world, because you do. There is nobody who's standing there waiting for you at the finish line to tell you you didn't do it right. I'm telling you, it all comes from in here. You're the one who is going to be angry at yourself for what you do. So don't live your life in fear that you're going to be reprimanded at the end and sent to hell by somebody who's in the clouds. The whole thing is always your internal battle. And the more that you can start, coming into marriage with it while you have the awareness, the more that you participate and make changes. So anyways, I'll talk to you later. Bye.